Microphone check and screen share check, please. All right, good evening, guys. Cantor's Capital Nightly Strategy Podcast at long last for June 22nd, 2023. We'll start with the hybrid swing portfolio. So this is Alcoa, 30 minutes. This is our 5-day look back. This is the yellow boxes 1 day. So yesterday we started the COTA 2 long. Today it gapped down that far to give us a -1. That became a stop and reverse with a standard risk. We got about 1.5 back, so this nets out to 0.5. Spent the rest of the day kind of sideways choppy. AI, no trade. I like the PSAR flip. Caterpillar, we took an intraday collapsing dragon and cashed 1R intraday. We'll just take it. Same thing with Cliff Natural Resources. This was a 2R in the first hour and started to recover, so just take it. Chevron reinitiated the COTA 2 continuation here. So we're noticing the rising support levels. We got the R10 crosses over, hits the PSAR flip, standard risk to the bottom of the dragon, and that's holding about 0.5. If it can get above this 5-day high right here, then it can clear this gap and get all the way back to 72.50. So liking the possibilities there. Dish Network 1, 2, 3 after the gap down in morning hook. This is instructive because it held support right where you expect it to hold support. And the last time it held support, it did that. And today, 1, 2, 3 entry, it did this and started to roll over. So why not take 1R? Why not? Devon Energy, no trade. I missed the gap in short. Electronic Arts covered the short from yesterday. Missed the 1, 2, 3 entry. Emerging markets, no trade. I like that it's stabilizing. Ethereum, no trade. It's setting up for a nice breakout here. So you got the PSAR declining to here. You got the you get the higher lows getting to here. So this is setting up for a very interesting critical state trade in either direction. And if this can get above 975, off to the races. Mexico initiated a collapsing dragon short. It's holding about 2R. Brazil covered the long. It's not covered, but this thing was a COTA 2, and it closed here, and then it gapped all the way down to here. So we were able to get out of that with 1R. I missed the revenge trade and the second revenge trade, but this is setting up nicely for tomorrow from a critical state here, ready to go in either direction. Love that pattern. That'll be a COTA 2 if it works to the upside, right? Because you got these rising lows. So if that works and then gets above 33 and a quarter, that could really go. Good target. Intel, we had one position short from here on the collapsing dragon. On the second collapsing dragon today, added it short, and then it didn't fail any further. and started to recover. So I wanted to keep the second one in the money and make bank on the first one, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5R. And this is postured up nicely. After a harsh winter, it has now come back into the spring and is inside the Red River. So that is a perfect location for it to make this move. If tech comes to the rescue, we'll see. IP finally found a way to get short on that one. It's holding about half an hour. Real estate took the 2R gain. This was a gap, collapsing dragon short, and then it stabilized, and I took the exit right at the edge of the dragon. So here's the collapsing dragon, the gap down, standard risk. It immediately collapsed to here and then stabilized, and then you just follow the edge of the dragon down and cash right there. And that gives you 1, 2. Collapsing dragon short in regional banks. That's holding about 1. McDonald's initiated a SSC long near the end of the day with a tight risk box. Merck initiated the emerging dragon. This was a gap up and go, so standard risk, and it followed through nicely, and it's holding 1, 2, about 2.5. If it breaks above 113.80, I'm going to add a second position. Microsoft SSC, and this was late because of the gap, and it's starting nicely. What I like is that it is testing and getting through this resistance level, so that means this is now in play, 349. So I like that. Marijuana, no trade. Nvidia, no trade. Clean energy. The short continues. This is just one. I missed the collapsing dragon here and here and here. But on the upside, we're holding 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding about +6 on 4 days. If this breaks below 37.50, I'll add a second position. Rivian initiated the short on the pocket. Treasuries, no trade. Tesla, I took the SSC on the news that Elon Musk is going to get in a cage fight with Mark Zuckerberg, and I think we would agree that we all win if that happens. Zuckerberg, though, did pretty good in his first jiu-jitsu and MMA match, so I think Elon's got his work cut out for him. Yeah. U.S. Steel, no trade. There was a 1, 2, 3 morning hook available. But I was pretty happy with all that. Now, I want to show something important here on SPY for the sniper trade of the day. You will recall that yesterday we looked at it. The price, it looked like this. All right. And what we said was, this symmetrical move to here had come back and had come back to test right here. And this was a critical state. It was either going to recover or it was going to collapse. And so this became a really important critical state to trade. And so I traded SPY today. And it looks something like this. There was on the 30-minute chart, this thing was holding all day. There was a morning hook available, and then there was a breakout in here from the dragon that was working this way, and it closed nicely. So there's actually a 2R trade inside here that I want to show on the 3-minute chart. But now I want you to see why that becomes such an important target when you have support and then this descending triangle, that makes today, like we said yesterday, a really important critical state. What's it going to do? And it started to vote this way on the same day that the market went back into bullish quiet. So this could be the start of something good. This is failure to fail further. And you'll notice that we came out of the Red River in a strong spring, and we're very close to getting back into the summer. So this had some potential. So that leads me now to the discussion of the sniper trade of the day. All right. Let's see if we can get this thing going. Oops. Okay, so here we go. This is SPY on 3 minutes. So here was yesterday's close. And here's the gap down and the OR3. Okay, so there's our OR3. And this gives us a 1-2. Come on, pen, let's go. Okay, this gives us a 1-2-3 entry. One, two, three entry with a standard 50-cent risk. And my first target's going to be here, back to close the gap, and then to here. Okay. So we get about 1 R in hand, and it rolls over, and we take the exit because I want to get paid. So we get the entry, it rolls all the way up, comes back down, and we preserve 1 R. It then reverses immediately, and you get a little R10 wiggle, so we re-enter with a standard risk. This yellow box is showing basically what the range of the day is going to be. So it was not a big range day by any means. The second trade, so here's your R10 wiggle, and this thing ran straight up. So this ran straight up, came back, we preserved another R, so now we're up 2 R. And then it reversed immediately, so we get long again. Which scratches. I missed the short because I have a long bias. I noticed the Kata 2, so I re-enter as it moves 1 standard risk box after the R10 peaks. I get the entry here in the elbow of the dragon, if you will. This thing runs up to here. I wouldn't be offended if you took that exit because it rolled over, right? Like, this thing ran straight up and then rolled over. If you took that for 1 R, I'm not offended. It rolled off here. So if you had taken that as an exit, when this thing reversed, then you should probably be taking that as a re-entry to the long side because it's on the north side of the dragon and everything would be going. So that yellow, the second yellow dot would be a reasonable re-entry if you had exited here. But if you didn't exit here, that's too soon to put an entry in. Notice that this entry corresponds with a spring, summer, fall, spring. Fall, winter, spring, I should say. So it goes fall, winter, spring. So this is a spring entry with a Kata 2 formation, and it had moved a full wrist box off the bottom. So I'm liking that entry. So those yellow dots were all things to have thought about. The fourth yellow dot was or I should say the third one. So if you had gotten out here, then you probably would have gotten back in. Come on, damn it. You would have gotten in back here. Then you probably would have scratched here because you're pushing buttons. And then you would have entered long again here. Or just relax. Trust your PSAR. Trust your favorable MACD. Just let this trade run. Don't monkey around with it until it gets above this support level, resistance level, I should say. So this one runs all the way up, rolls over at the same spot it rolled over last time. So exit here, preserve an R. So now we're 3R in hand. Now we come through the lunch period, and now I'm noticing higher lows, bottoms out, moves one wrist box off the low, hits the PSAR flip. That's such a natural Kata 2, and then up it goes. Now it's in the summer and a resumption. You could have thought about putting the second position on because you have cleared that resistance. What I did was kept my stop in here. When I got 1, 2, 3 PSAR dots above my entry, I moved my stop to the fourth dot and left it here. This thing came back, pulled, and started to go again, and I just raised the stop and started ratcheting it. And then right here, as it started moving up, I just followed the PSAR. And when the R10 came through the PSAR, I exited. So this is 1 unit of risk. That's 1, 2R. So this one is a 2R trade, and each of these is 1. So that's a total of about 5R for the day. Opportunity trading. SPY was a target because this was right in the wheelhouse of a critical state. And the red box that I'm using is nothing more than the R10 MMRB, 50 cents of risk on the S&P on 3-minute bars. Notice how these crucial decisions to get in and get out are reflected by turning points in the MACD histogram as well. So you can use that as additional timing. That's what I want to say about that. All right, let's go to the traders. All right, so we'll start with Damien. The mouse is acting funny. This is a sign I need to have my son build me a new computer. He built himself a new desktop here this week. Spent about $2,000 in parts and built a computer that would cost me about $6,000 um, if I were to buy it retail. If you're out there and you'd be interested in getting one of those, let me know, and I'll see if he's interested in making some more. It's his computer on the it's at the 99th percentile of on the public performance charts, which is pretty good for a $2,000 raw material. All right, so Damien gets his emerging dragon, standard risk, cashes 1, sees the lower highs, plays the collapsing dragon, standard risk, gets another 1.75, total for the day 2.75. Lather, rinse, and repeat. That's a 90-minute trade.
I have a question, Ken. On the second trade that I took,
Yeah.
What if when I got the 1R profit, would it have been a good idea to put it in a second position or no?
After 1R, no.
No? Okay.
Now, and we want to do the 2R, and here's why. Because if you put that second one on, and it simply moves back 1R, then you lose 1 on this one, and that negates the +1 that you get on that one. So you have 1R in hand with momentum, and because we're in an urge to put a second position on, it ends up becoming a scratch trade. That is very frustrating.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to confirm what I was thinking.
Whereas if you're down here, this is where your 2R. Now, this is a reasonable place to add a second position because you are well below this this collapsing dragon. So you could have either maybe put it on here and front run a little bit, or here. On the move to here, and then it reverses. Now you got a scratch so that you preserve 2R on the first trade.
Okay.
And this one, at one point, at the maximum favorable excursion, you almost have a 4R trade. So by the time it comes back, you've given back half of your gains on that little retracement, and that's why you would have to get out here. I would just, with the way you're trading right now, and trading the S&P, it does not make huge runaway moves. This kind of orderly move like this, and then a half move, full move, it does that all the time. I would rather just play it at a precise. I'd rather see you get a more precise entry like here,
okay,
rather than trying to hurry up and put a second position on. Save a little bit right here, and then maybe take a little bit. This is still a great exit. That's a great exit. So I think you're in good shape.
Okay, so by refining my technique, I could have gotten an extra half an hour, or maybe
probably
3/4 of an hour, or maybe 3/4 of an hour for the day.
Yeah, you might have gotten a little extra piece there. And like on this one, if we're being honest, if we come straight across to the PSAR flip here, or the emerging dragon is right here rather than here. And there's a full R right there, and then there's probably half an R here. So there's 1.5 R of improvements without increasing your risk at all, and without complicating it with a second position.
Okay, so I'll work on refining the techniques.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's jump over to Tim. about that. Got some lag here. Gets 0.3 out of CVX. Here's an OR3. Gets paid a little bit. So he's grinding it out. And his grinding is improved to the point where he's now making fractional gains for the day on that rather than losses. So nothing wrong with that. All right, let's jump to U.S. Steel. All right, U.S. Steel, he gets 1.1. Gets paid a couple times, gets a nice move here, gets paid, micro loss. So he's just grinding. He's just grinding right here and gets 1.1. On Tesla, 1.4 with a pay, a big pay, a little pay on the short, a micro loss. He's probably tired by this point, although there's a COTA 2 that would pay. So that's 1.4, so he's up around 3 for the day. Then the last one, 2.3 in Intel, which was the big move, and crushes it for 2.3. And this is how you self-coach. He's working on his span of control, working his zero state without actively trying hard. He was able to get into the zero state. He's ready to call it a day when he realized he was not concentrating, so he managed the last trade according to the rules and stopped trading. So he is internalizing now the things that he used to have to think about. So he has reduced the cognitive complexity by becoming unconsciously competent through extensive, perfect practice. He's doing a nice job of adding in the MACD 4 season. So nice work all the way through. Sometimes it just takes that long to do it before it feels natural. It will never feel natural the first couple times. What I like on this one is staying out of the chop. There wasn't much room in there, although he did get a little piece. Maybe some over trading inside here. I think there's still some eagerness to trade. So we got to work on that. The Intel. Intel 2.2. Now there's bigger moves and he's getting bigger paydays. I like all of that. And he's able to stay out of the chop until after the range expansion starts and he gets paid a little bit more. Some of this late trading here in Tesla is over eagerness, and that cost about 1.5 R, which would have turned this into another 1.5 day. Good job in the channel here, and then we got to stay out of this. And Microsoft, let's see, where's he at for the day? It feels like we might have been able to get into this earlier in the middle on that, and then we missed the OR3 completely, which was the massive move of the day. But still, overall, pretty nice work today, shifting between different members of his portfolio. It's starting to feel a little bit easier. So nice work there. Quickly go to the reports. Let's see if we can get past the lag on this one. All right, on the 150, just want you to notice we've Today was a little recovery day. Failure to fail through the dragon. That has some real strong potential for continued gains tomorrow. We'll see that in the 30-day look back. This held support at the bottom of the dragon, north of the PSAR, so I like the upward possibility. 3 days of pullback and then 1 day of momentum. This had a strong finish all day, decidedly upward bias. We're in bullish quiet. We've recovered our strength on the 2-day. Favorable conditions in the market mosaic. Apple is crushing it, as is Johnson & Johnson. Lots of targets that test out well on the auto framer, so it's a buyer's market. Had some weakness in gold and some of the other defensive plays. Lots of auto framers to choose from. And you can see what I mean. Lots of auto framers. Energy, the Europeans, emerging markets, all looking favorable. A lot of pinches today, including DIA and the Russell. So I like all of that as coiled springs ready to strike. A few Godzillas to choose from, mostly stealthy. And when you see VXX in a stealth mode here for Godzilla, what that means is it's been quite a while since we had a volatility shock. So don't be surprised by some one-day shenanigans tomorrow. Still being dominated by the summer and fall. Crypto is certainly in the channel. Robinhood was the only one in the green for today for the tactical set. And then you got Bitcoin, Ethereum. Intel, I think, is ready to go. Along with Apple. I mean, Apple is really standing out right here. Yeah, when you see that kind of shape, and then real strength in Merck. Yep. Microsoft and Cisco. Yep. Looking good. And it's the defensive plays we're getting smashed over here. Gold, silver, real estate. All right, that's everything we got for today. Let's get this published and posted, and then Bill, I'll send you a handful of graphics to choose from. You take your pick. That's all we got for today. We shall see you tomorrow. A really good explanation of the entire sniper strategy in the Foundation's Q&A today. So for subscribers and Foundation students, you have access to that. I'll get that uploaded here shortly again. Very good discussion. All right, that's everything we got for today.